Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, March 26th, 2016. This is episode 1273. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. And by Score Big. Pay less for quality seats to your favorite sporting and music events. Go to scorebig.com, click the microphone, and enter the promo code TechGuy to save $20 off your first ticket purchase. And by Atlassian. Unleash your team's potential with collaborative software tools like HipChat and Jira that'll let you work and communicate better together. Visit Atlassian.com to learn more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside those areas, you can also use Skype to reach us because it's a toll-free number. You have to use Skype out, though, to call a phone. 888-827-5536. The website, you should know about that, too, because that way you don't have to write anything down, including the phone number, including where the chat room is and all that jazz, because it's all there on the website, techguylabs.com. We write it down so you don't have to. techguylabs.com. And it's free and there's no charge and it's not a sign up or anything like that. It just, it's like websites used to be in the good old days. You just go visit them. Do you see what? Oh, this is sad. This is a sad commentary, but not surprising, I guess. Microsoft created a chat bot. It's more, this is more a PR thing. This is not real artificial intelligence research. But they created a chat bot called Tay, man. Tay. Put it on Twitter. The idea being it was going to be kind of a millennial, and talk with the kids. The way the kids talk, man. I don't know how the kids talk. That's not how they talk. That's how I talked when I was a kid. Hey, man, dude, what's happening? I don't know how kids talk today. It was not the first AI that Microsoft had released into the wild. They put one on Xiaomi, I think, or one of the big chat systems in China. They called it the Xiao Ice chatbot. 40 million people, Microsoft says. Xiao Ice delighted some 40 million people with its stories and conversations. The great experience with Xiao Ice in China led us to consider, would an AI like this be just as captivating in a radically different cultural environment? Oh, how different it is. Tay, a chatbot created for 18 to 24-year-olds for entertainment purposes. This isn't real research, although maybe Microsoft did learn something. As we developed Tay, Microsoft writes, we planned and implemented a lot of filtering and conducted extensive user studies with diverse user groups. We stress-tested Tay under a variety of conditions specifically to make interacting with Tay a positive experience. Once we got comfortable with how Tay was interacting with users, we wanted to invite a broader group of people to engage with her. It's through increased interaction where we expected to learn more and for the artificial intelligence, the AI, to get better and better. The logical place to engage with a massive group of users was Twitter. And, if Microsoft were paying attention, I think they would have known. You could guess. So one of the features they built into Tay, this is so dumb, was a repeat after me feature. So if you tweeted at Tay, repeat after me, and then said something, Tay would say it, and worse, apparently, would start incorporating it into its, phrases that it knew. Now, folks, this is not sophisticated artificial intelligence. This is a parlor trick. We've had this for years. So older folks might remember something called Eliza, which was a chat bot 30 years ago. I mean, really a long time ago, where you could have a conversation with it, and it would try to pick up cues from what you said, and it was, kind of dopey and dumb. But this is just Eliza for Twitter. Microsoft really just trying to get, some cred, some street cred from doing the AI thing. IBM and the Watson, they're getting all the attention now. Google with its Go-beating computer. Man, we got to get in there. What should we do? Let's do a tweeter bot. But remember, one of the features was you could tweet at it, Tay, repeat after me, and then say anything vile that you wanted. So what do you think happened on Twitter? Yeah. Microsoft writes, unfortunately, come on, guys. In the first 24 hours of coming online, a coordinated attack by a subset of people exploited a vulnerability. A vulnerability, really, that implies it was like a bug. It's not a bug. Although we had prepared for many types of abuses of the system, we had made a critical oversight for this specific attack. As a result, Tay tweeted wildly inappropriate and reprehensible words and images. Basically, Tay became a white supremacist Nazi. I can't even say the things Tay started tweeting. But as far as I could tell, in every case, it was repeat after me, and Tay repeated. Dopey. Just dopey. Golly. If you feel like sometimes, don't you feel like sometimes the engineers who design our stuff don't get out much? Like they don't really have an idea how normal people work, or it's like, come on. Maybe they'd never been on Twitter. I don't know. First thing I would have thought of. Gee, if we post now, I guess what fooled them is in China, this has been going on for a while and nothing happened. They're apparently very nice and orderly. Doesn't hurt to have a tyrannical government to keep an eye on everything you say. We believe in free speech here in the United States of America, and boy, when we say free, we mean free. Wow. The British. A royal government agency in Britain has learned the same thing recently. They thought it'd be a great idea. The National Environment Research Council, they're launching a new ship for research at the poles, a polar research vessel, $287 million vessel. They thought, this would be good. We'll let the internet name the boat. Oh, you could see what's coming next, can't you? We'll let the internet name the boat. So currently, the last time I checked, the top name for this, even though, the government suggested Shackleton, Endeavour, Falcon, number one vote getter by a long, long way is Boaty McBoatface. But of course it is. What did you think it would be? So many votes came in, the polling website crashed. Now they're getting crazy. Nameourship.nerc.ac.uk if you want to cast your vote. Most loved overall, RRS Boaty McBoatface. Then some of the other high vote getters. Usain Boat. The RRS, it's bloody cold here. Well, it's a polar research vessel. What, Boatimus Prime. I like big boats, and I cannot lie. Okay, have we learned a lesson here? We learned a lesson. We've learned a lesson. A lesson Microsoft and apparently the British government have not learned when you open up things to the public on the internet. Things happen. Now what are they going to do? They're going to have to. They just have to say, "Well, we're sorry, but we're not. We're not going to name it Boaty McBoatface. We spent £200 million on this thing. We can't name it Boaty McBoatface." I do rather like Usain Bolt, though. I like big boats, and I cannot lie. 8888, ask Leo. Let's talk high tech, computers, the internet, home theater. Our home theater guru Scott Wilkinson coming up at 1:30. But I'll answer any question, talk any tech. All right. Notice I never asked for suggestions on what to name this show. Leo Laporte, I am the tech guy. I don't care what you say. Boaty. Oh, Boaty. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. Heather Hammond, the Easter Bunny. Look, we both have ears on. That's perfect for radio. We could just, no one would know. We should just say, we're both wearing our bunny costumes. You're wearing pink. And I really like how your fur looks. And I am wearing brown. I'm a chocolate bunny. And somebody seems to have bitten my tail off because, yeah.
Ouch, that smarts.
I hate it when they do that. Please, bite the head first. So
then I'll lose consciousness and okay.
Oh God, that got very dark very fast.
It didn't it?
Hello, Heather. How are you today?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Just got back from New York City. Spent a quick 3 days there.
That's right.
Saw
and you
Hamilton.
Love Hamilton.
Da 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 da. I can't stop singing it. Isn't that what it is? If you go to a Broadway musical, you're supposed to go out the door singing the songs. It was remarkable. I understand now why it's so hard to get a ticket and why it's such a popular show. It really is amazing.
No one doesn't love it, right? That's what I keep hearing.
It was like going to a Beatles concert. It was, I don't know why, but there were a lot of young women in the audience who, when the star of the show, Alexander Hamilton, comes out, and he's always been a heartthrob. Of course, played by the author of the book, the music, the star of the show, Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is really a genius. When he comes out, the screams, it's like going to a Beatles concert.
Wow.
They stop the show. And he has to just kind of stand there sheepishly because they go, "What's your name? What's your name?" Ah! Ah! And then he can say, "Alexander Hamilton." But no, wonderful show. Yeah, if you have a chance to see it, it's just amazing. And I met some listeners there.
Oh, great.
Came down and said hi.
Wow.
Said, "We heard you were going to be in the show." Adam Savage was also there of the Mythbusters.
Really?
Didn't see him, but I'm sure he was there. I was told he was there. Yeah. So it's amazing.
It is coming to our area.
It is, and I'm going to go see it again and again and again. I hope they make a movie or a TV show or something. People really ought to get to see this, partly because it's so inspiring about our nation's history. It's very inspiring.
Who knew U.S. history could be so smoking hot?
It's really good. And it's historically accurate as far as I can tell. There's nothing in there that's not exactly... He based it on a very good biography of Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. And
I wonder if there's a takeaway lesson here in how we teach things in schools.
This is... Every kid should go see this because you would get excited about... because really the revolution was, young people fighting for liberty, huh? I mean, it's something everybody can get down with.
They were the first rock stars.
They were.
They said they wanted a revolution.
Yeah, we say we want a real solution. So enough of my Broadway review. I know I'm not here to do that. I'm here to celebrate Purim. No, I'm here to answer tech calls. So let's get some tech calls on the air here.
Well, let's do. I'm a sucker for an accent, but truly he was first in line. David in Wichita Falls.
All righty. Hello, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Be very quiet. I'm hunting Easter eggs. What's up?
Uh-oh. My brother's got a computer, and they had Windows 7, and he upgraded to 10, that free upgrade.
Yeah.
But then he had to get some work done on his computer and swap the hard drive and put Windows 7 back on. So when he tried to go back to Windows 10 again, he was asking for a serial number. Now, if he gave him one the first time, he didn't write it down. So... how do I get a serial number?
It should not need a serial number. if you had Windows 7 and it was activated, which I'm sure it was, and then you took the free upgrade to Windows 10, it would then activate. Now, if it didn't activate, maybe it's confused, but it would then activate. And the activation, it's called now an entitlement because it's your hardware is now entitled to run Windows 10. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to that computer specifically. So it's not transferable. It can't be used on any other computer. It's that computer. And it should never need a number because Microsoft has made a note of an internal identifier in the computer and then associated it with a copy of Windows 10. How did he go back to Windows 10? Maybe he did something different.
I don't know. He was just, when he got his computer back, got it running again.
Yeah, I mean, it should not. It should never ask for a serial number. So I'm wondering if he took a boxed copy of Windows 10, that would be the mistake. If you go to the store and you buy Windows 10, it will ask for a serial number. But if you download it as a free upgrade, it doesn't in the process ask for a serial number. Once it activates, it's now associated with your computer and it'll never need a serial number. So, you know, what he should do is go to the Microsoft website where they have the Windows 10 ISO, the CD image or DVD image, and download it and install it from that. I'm wondering if he borrowed somebody's boxed copy of Windows.
No, he never had a box. The only disc he has is Windows 7.
So he had a Windows 7 machine. He went back to Windows 7. It was activated, and then he just did the update. You know,
he had to get his computer worked on, and so they had to.
Oh, you know, those nitwits at the store probably put Windows 10 on it.
No, they put Windows 7. That's the local guy that he goes to all the time.
So so the local guy probably screwed this up. Local guys sometimes do a bad thing. They take a computer and they install a pirated copy of Windows 7 on it because they don't want to pay for a license. He didn't have your buddy's Windows 7 disk, so he installed his own pirated copy of Windows 7 on there. What your friend now needs to do is reinstall Windows 7 from his disk. I'm sorry to say, but this is what he needs to do because this guy screwed him up, messed it up. He needs to reinstall Windows 7, let it activate. He will need to enter his serial number. Not going to work with the one that the guy at the store put on there. That's why he needs to reinstall Windows 7. Put his serial number in there, activate it. Now he can go to Windows 10 and it'll all be normal. I think what happened is that the guy at the repair shop put his own copy of Windows 7 on there. So I think it's all, you know, it's just go back to the Windows 7 that he had. I have real mixed feelings about how Microsoft's handled Windows 10. They've really pushed it on people. But it is free, and it will stay free because he had a free upgrade. But he has to use the Windows 7 that came with his machine to get the free upgrade. It has to be activated. He has to have the serial number for Windows 7, activate that, then either wait for it to offer Windows 10, which will happen quickly now. It's in the recommended updates. So what he should do is reinstall Windows 7 from his disk, put in the serial number, then run all the updates. One of the updates will be Windows 10, and he'll be greeted some hours later with a EULA for Windows 10, which he should accept, and he'll never then need to enter the serial number again. So that's what's different. And, you know, I don't know how well Microsoft has explained this to everybody. It's so different than it used to be. Dr. Mom says, yeah, the first taste of heroin is also free. I don't know about that. I think Windows 10 is good. It's fine. But I also respect anybody who doesn't want to upgrade, and Microsoft seems to be strong-arming everybody into the upgrade. Scott Wilkinson coming up. Da 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 ya da 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 da. That's another suggestion. Lawn Dog points out that you could wipe the disk. That's probably the other thing to do. Wipe the disk and install Windows 10, and you'll still have your Windows 7 serial number. If it asks for a serial number, enter the Windows 7 serial number. The problem is, I almost am certain your Shade Tree geek who installed his copy of Windows 7 on there. And it probably was a ripped copy. Da-ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I am not throwing away my shot. You must see Hamilton.
I must. I absolutely want to.
It's a revelation.
I really hope it comes to L.A.
Well, it's coming to San Francisco next year. I'm sure it will. It'll be a truck tour probably. Actually, L.A. may not be. A lot of times with L.A. I wonder how many of the original cast they'll put in there.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I rushed to see it, because I wanted to see it with the original cast, and they
sure, of course.
I've been told their contracts all run out in April.
Oh man! Did they record an original cast album?
You must get the cast album because it's the whole show. There's no dialogue, so everything. The cast album is the entire show. The entire show. It's nothing but music. Yeah, that's great. It's like an opera or an operetta. But in rap.
Wow.
This guy, I'm convinced Lin-Manuel Miranda is our Shakespeare. At first I was saying he's our Orson Welles. You know, he's like that Wunderkind. But now I'm thinking, you know what? This show is as close to perfect as a show can be. It's amazing.
Do they have they released a video of it? You know, like a Blu-ray?
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube. No, not of the whole show. But there's a lot of YouTube stuff.
People sneaking cameras into the show.
Shakers. Thank you. Yeah, no, I don't. I think people are very respectful. Good. It was a rock crowd. I mean, people were screaming. They were on their feet. I've been to many Broadway shows. It's one of my hobbies, and I've never been in one where the electricity before the show was so high, and not an empty seat. Like 10 minutes before the show begins, everybody's there. It's like this is a big deal to have a ticket to this. Oh yeah, and I've heard they ain't cheap either. No, well, if you face value, they're typical Broadway. Ah, okay. They're not. Maybe that's what I heard. That the scalping was. Well, scalping's outrageous. 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 I've never paid so much for a ticket in my life, but it was worth it. It was worth it. The national tour plays the Pantages for a 5-month engagement starting August 11th. 2017. Yeah. Oh, not this year. Next year. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll go. I will. As I get older, I don't feel like next year is that far away. Seriously. Yeah, true. No, you're exactly right. It's here before you know it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad I saw this before I die. It's just an amazing show. By the way, just FYI, for the show segment, I've got some pretty big news. Good. Well, it's coming up next. I just want to let you know so you didn't jump into something else. I got to find a way to get... I guess I could just put this here because, yeah, I will. It's on battery. I think the battery's charged, so yeah. Oh, yeah, get the soundtrack. If you're not blown away by the soundtrack, you and Joanna will listen to it and go, OMG. OMG. And that's what will make you figure out how you can possibly How are we going to go to New York? Yeah. I was planning not to go to New York this summer as I normally do, but I might have to. Maybe you should. Here we go. Scott Wilkinson's here, our home theater guru. He joins us each and every week at this time to talk about big screen TVs and surround sound. And Scott, he's not telling me what, but he says, I've got big news. Hello, Scott. Welcome to the show. Hey, Leo. I do have big news. This week, on Tuesday, Vizio basically changed the name of the game in big screen TVs. Oh, my. That is really big news. Yeah, it's huge. They have a series, some lines, right? The D and E series are the entry level. The M series is the mid-level. The P series is their premium product. And then they have the reference, which is super expensive and does high dynamic range and so on. But for Vizio, it's super expensive, shall we say. The 65-incher is $6,000. But on Tuesday, Vizio announced and in fact made available, it's not even vaporware, it's actually people can buy it now, the 2016 P series, which has much of the reference series capabilities for like a third the price. It's really astonishing. They have
high dynamic range in the form of Dolby Vision. There are two basic types of high dynamic range now, Dolby Vision and what's generically called HDR10, which is an open standard. Dolby is proprietary. And the reference series had Dolby Vision in it, and this new P-Series does as well. And it's going to get a firmware update in within 90 days to do the other HDR system, HDR10. So it'll be covered for both, which is what I've been recommending. It's what's called a full array local dimming or FALD TV, which means that there's LEDs behind the LCD panel, not along the edges. And there are 128 zones, so you get nice resolution in terms of what zones get dimmed and brightened, which improves the contrast ratio, which, by the way, they specify at, I think, 150,000 to 1. The UHD premium specification calls for a contrast ratio on LCD TVs of 20,000 to 1. So this exceeds it by a huge margin. I wrote about it on AVS Forum. I posted it the minute the embargo was lifted. And it kind of caught us all by surprise. I mean, those of us who went to the event, the briefing, we learned about it the week before, but we couldn't say anything until the embargo lifted. So the moment the embargo lifted, 6 a.m. on Tuesday, I punched the button and up it went. And it, in the last few days, it's already gotten close to 2,000 comments. Some AVS members have already gone and bought the set and started posting their results with it. I mean, the other thing that's really cool about it, other than the fact that it brings a lot of the functionality of this very expensive set down into the mass market almost, is it comes with an Android tablet as a remote, and it uses Google Cast. So basically none of the apps, like for Netflix or YouTube or anything like that, none of them are on the TV itself. They're in this 6-inch normal Android tablet, kind of a generic Android tablet. And so it basically, the tablet, you pick what you want, and it casts to the TV. It tells the TV, okay, go to this URL, grab that stream, and start showing it. And Vudu is the other one that's really important here because they're streaming Dolby Vision high dynamic range content. So is Netflix. They started this week as well. So they basically, what they said was they separated navigation from consumption. And this is a paradigm shift. This is really important because, for example, when you're trying to set the TV controls, you can look at the tablet and the menu is on the tablet, not on the TV. So as you're adjusting the brightness, you can see the effect on the screen without the menu being there, which is critically important for calibration. Because very often you take a reading with a menu on the screen and it's not what the real reading should be. So they've taken a number of steps here that are really important. The one thing that people are really talking about, one of them, is that because of the feud between Amazon and Google, this TV, which is basically a Google Cast device, Vizio worked with Google for 2 years on it, cannot accept will not have an app for Amazon content. And so people are kind of going, wait a minute, I can't get my Amazon on this? Well, no, because of it's not Vizio's fault. I mean, I'm sure you know about this sort of feud between Amazon and Google, but it means that certain content isn't available from one to the other.
I always feel like a smart TV, actually this may be the exception, but generally smart TV software is not great. So,
no, I think this is.
So you
I think
end up
this
buying
is
a
an
Roku,
exception.
but I love Android TV. I have the Shield, the NVIDIA Shield with Android TV, and it's quite good. But that is a huge missing piece because it's more the Amazon originals that you care about than the rentals. Because Google Play has, iTunes, Google, and Amazon all have the same movies basically.
Yeah.
It's
but it's like Mozart in the Jungle.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that unless you buy, a Fire TV.
Right, and just plug it in.
Or something like that, and plug it in and use it, put it into a different input on the TV.
The feud is so dumb.
It's so dumb. Yeah. So stupid. I totally agree. The other thing that this TV does not have, which some people are complaining about, is it does not have an over-the-air tuner.
Well,
it's
there you
really
go.
meant. There you go. Now you can buy an over-the-air tuner a separate one, an outboard one for $50 to a couple $100, and it'll have a DVR in it. You could get a TiVo,
Right.
and you'd have to pay some subscription fee, but to get the program guide. But there's a way around that. Vizio, I think, is really striking out in a direction here that points the way to more online content delivery rather than over the air or anything else. Of course, you can plug in an Ultra HD Blu-ray player and other external devices to it. But this separation of navigation from consumption, I think, is pretty interesting. And the fact that you get a 65-inch with high dynamic range, Ultra HD, and wide color gamut, almost out to the digital cinema colors called P3. Wow. 96% of P3. A 65-incher for $2,000.
This is, this is a grab for the market, and I can't imagine that this won't be very successful if these TVs are as good as you say they are.
Well, and from the very early reports of people who have actually gone out and bought it, it's extremely good. In fact, I arranged for next Thursday on my podcast, my Home Theater Geeks podcast, to have an AVS member who has bought this TV and already played with it. So we're going to get an early report of actual in-the-field experience.
Wow. This is great news.
It really is.
I think the only thing you might hold out for is an OLED TV, and that's so much more money.
So much more money. And even the Sonys and the Samsungs that have similar capabilities are 2 to 3 times as much.
Wow. And by the way, I will heartily endorse Android TV. That the Google TV software is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's if that's the user interface. And I have to say, Vizio's always had the best smart TVs anyway. So this is really good news all around. Yeah.
Big leap forward. This is really important. It's going to shake up the TV industry big time.
Very good. Scott Wilkinson. If you want to hear that podcast, it's every what day of the week is it? Thursday?
Thursday, 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 to 6 Eastern.
You can watch it twit.tv. That's my podcast network, or get it after the fact, twit.tv/HTG for Home Theater Geeks. And of course, Scott's the editor-in-chief of the AVS Forum at avsforum.com, where you can read all about this. Scott, thanks.
That's right.
We'll talk next week. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Our show today brought to you by Epson. Epson. I love my Epson. We're an Epson family. Actually, I've been an Epson guy since the earliest days of computing with my Epson FX80. And, I've always loved Epson printers, and they keep getting better and better. But I have to say, this is one where I think they really deserve a pat on the back, because they've solved a problem that really was plaguing inkjet printers. The cost and the annoyance of running out of ink in the middle of a print job and having to go out and buy more cartridges. Epson has solved that with the new EcoTank printers. These are so great. Go to epson.com/EcoTank. The EcoTank. So we got the 4550 CES 2016 Innovation Award winner. And rightly so. It comes with 2 years of ink in the box. That's 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages in the box. And then when you run out in 2 years, it's about 50 cartridges worth, you'll save up to 80% because you'll be buying low-cost replacement bottles. Now, if you get the big boy, they also make a printer for businesses, for work groups. The big boy, the WFR 4640, that's got 20,000 pages of ink in the box, and then you buy packs. They're very easy to replace. I mean, this is such a great idea. Of course, all these printers are powered by Precision Core. You've got to check out the Precision Core technology. 40 million drops of ink a second. It means incredible laser quality black text, vivid colors, auto two-sided printing, no warm-up time, 30-page auto document feeder. It's so fast. Easy wireless printing from tablets or smartphones. And the new EcoTank 4550, ET4550 wireless all-in-one printer doesn't use ink cartridges. Instead features an innovative refillable ink tank. Now you have the freedom to run, the freedom to print without ever running out of ink. I just love it. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank today to transform the way you print. without running out of ink. Epson, epson.com/ecotank. We thank Epson so much for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. EcoTank. EcoTank. You know, it's funny because Vizio has really transformed itself from being a bargain basement brand.
Yep.
Or not bargain basement, but second-tier brand to being a true player now with this. This is huge.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. They are the #1 TV seller in the United States anyway. I don't know whether that's by volume or by dollars.
It's got to be volume because their prices aren't that high.
Aren't that high.
Yeah.
That's right. So it has to be volume. So, but they're huge, and they have transformed themselves. And this takes them another quantum leap forward. I mean, the comments on this post that I did, there are almost 2,000 of them there now by now, and a lot of them are saying, "Whoa, watch out, Sony and Samsung. Vizio's going to eat your lunch here."
Really interesting. So it's we had heard that they were going to use your phone or your tablet as the remote for this, but you will still get a remote, right?
You get a tablet. A tablet comes with this thing, but you can download the app to any Android or iOS, for that matter, device. But you also get a limited IR remote. The tablet communicates by Wi-Fi or Bluetooth.
This is amazing.
But it does have an IR remote for things like channel up, down, and mute and stuff like that.
How does the TV look? Tell us about the quality.
Well, from what I saw at the demo, which is all I've seen, it looked phenomenal. They were showing clips from Mad Max Fury Road, for example.
Yeah.
Common, very popular clip to show. From HDR, streaming in HDR from Vudu. And the one thing I noticed right away, other than they showed that scene of the guy playing guitar on this car as it's driving along, and the flames shooting out of it, and he's wearing this red long johns. And the red of the long johns is far deeper red than anything that a normal TV
Red's
can produce.
So hard to do.
It is. It is. And this,
impressive.
you just look right away, you go, wow.
Yeah.
And the flames coming out of the guitar are so much brighter. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's so much brighter than you see on a normal TV. And the detail within the flames.
Nice.
I mean, it's remarkable. Remarkable. They also do a really cool thing with letterbox bars. You know, if it's a 16:9 screen and you're watching a widescreen movie, you got letterbox bars on the top and bottom, and they have an algorithm that makes sure that the LEDs behind the letterbox bars are really turned off. So those letterbox bars are black, absolutely pure black.
Neat.
So it's an amazing accomplishment for them, especially at the price point. I mean, it really took everybody by surprise and by storm.
What a breakthrough.
Yeah, it really is.
Remarkable.
So I'm looking forward to talking to this guy on the podcast. I tried to get somebody from Vizio on, and they're busy. They're doing something. So I said, okay, well, how about if I get somebody who's actually bought the thing? And they're not beholden to anybody. They're they want the good TV. So they saw this. They went out, and they're one of the very first.
That's a great way to do it. Yeah.
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 So that should be a very interesting discussion.
And now I'm wondering if I should buy one of these or wait for the LG OLED.
Well, that's a tough one. This one will do a lot better in a brighter room.
Maybe this is our living room TV, huh?
Exactly. It comes in a 75-inch.
I know. I'm tempted. Yeah, we have a 70 in the living room, but I wouldn't mind a little bit bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a little bit. I love Google TV. I have it in my my office, and I really like it.
Yeah, that's what this is.
It's called Android TV is what it's called.
Well, yeah, I guess Google Android TV. I guess that's true.
Here we go. I'll talk. You're going to stick around?
Yeah.
Thank you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's go back to the phone calls, shall we? And I've got next Tim in Oregon City. Hi, Tim. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great.
Good.
I do have a question.
Yes.
regarding the iPhone.
Okay.
My wife has pictures on it, which we have a network attached storage unit in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using the I'd like
iCloud. You don't want to use Apple's iCloud
because
it's expensive.
I'm an Android guy.
Well, it's expensive too. I ended up buying 200 gigabytes of iCloud storage because you're using it not just for your photos, but for your backup, for your sync. There's a lot of reasons you use iCloud for documents. So it fills up fast. They only give you 5 gigabytes free. It's really that's really a taste, and they want you to pay for it. So. And it's not super expensive. I think I pay $2 or $3 a month for 200 gigabytes. So it's not horrifically expensive. It is the easiest because it's Apple, right? Apple products always work best with Apple software and Apple content. It's always the, the Apple ecosystem, and they design it that way. However, there are many other choices for backing up photos. Many of them are free. Google Photos would be the first one I'd look at. Google's Photos is an amazing solution.
I do have that for my Android.
Yeah, and it's available on iPhone too. You just put photos on there from the App Store.
Right. But I've also got the MyCloud, the Western Digital MyCloud, 1 terabyte in the house.
Oh, I see. And of course, you said that. You want to back it up to the MyCloud.
Right. So I've got it all set up on the Time Machine, all that fun stuff through the settings on the MyCloud. Now her phone still says it's full when she copies, or when it copies, the pictures over to the MyCloud and her little segment that I.
Yeah, she's just copying them. She's not deleting them.
Right. So I guess my real question would be is there a way or settings somewhere in the iPhone where you can go and delete all pictures at one time, or do you have to delete them individually?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just really quickly follow along on my iPad to make sure that what I'm saying is right. I believe you can go into it might be usage. Let me just try this. If you go to General and About, you can see how many photos you have and how much space they occupy on there. And let me just see if real quickly I can, no, I think I can't delete it from there. So the other place, this is always drives me crazy with Apple, is that, well, they move all the settings out of the apps into their own settings. And then that makes so many settings in there that you have to dig around. Yeah, if you go to Photos and Camera, you can optimize iPad storage now, but that's an iCloud feature. Oh, man. You could delete all. You want to make sure it's backed up first, obviously.
Right.
And the nice thing about the MyCloud, not iCloud, but MyCloud, is they've added that feature a couple of months ago. They put that in there so that it is automatically backing up. But unlike iCloud, see, again, Apple, it always works best if you go all Apple. What iCloud does is it keeps low-quality versions on your phone and keeps the full-quality versions in the cloud. So you don't lose your pictures. You have images suitable for the small screen. They're a lot smaller, so it saves space on your phone. And it makes sure that your phone never gets filled up. They call it optimized storage. Just looking in here about where we delete. Maybe if I turn off the iCloud photo library. No, yeah, if you turn off iCloud Photo Library, you can remove your photos. At least it's saying I can remove my photos. I'm going to have to dig around in here, but maybe the chat room can help me. How do I delete all the photos? Again, it's a risky process. Make sure you got them all backed up.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Okay, I would even suggest, this is just extra, get Google Photos. It's free. Are you an Amazon Prime member?
No, not
right.
really.
If you're an Amazon Prime member, they have free unlimited storage on Amazon as well. Flickr will, these are all apps you could put on there, and they don't conflict. You can have multiple copies. Flickr will upload all your pictures to Flickr up to 1 terabyte for free. I can go on and on. So all of these cloud storage of photos has been solved. In other words, there's no issue. It's great if you want to keep them locally, but it's a little bit more complicated. Let me see here. The chat room has given me a link to a Macworld article. We'll put that in the show notes. How to bulk delete images from your iPhone. Oh, man. You have to... Oh, man. This is terrible. Yeah, this is not good. There is no way to do it on the iPhone directly, apparently. You have to plug it into your computer. And then launch image capture on the Mac. You have to have a Mac. Apple, you know what? I don't use iPhones anymore because Apple just really drives me nuts with this stuff.
Oh, you do have to use a Mac, though.
You have to use a Mac. You have to launch image capture. Then you can select all the images and delete them from your phone. Well, there must be a better way. There's got to be a better way. That's my friend Chris Breen from last year. Maybe there's a better way in the new iOS 9. It used to be impossible. In the Photos app, go into an album, hit select, drag your finger over all the pictures. Okay, there you go. This is a non-intuitive. By the way, this is the other problem I have with Apple's Photos app, which is on the iPhone, is it's very hard to figure out how to use it. It's not obvious. So here's the trick. Go into albums on Photos.
Okay.
You have to do this album by album. Select all the images in an album by dragging your finger across them, and then there's the trash can. You can hit that. That's crazy. There's no mass delete.
Oh, man.
Remember, I mean, for a long time, you couldn't do that. You couldn't delete music either. It's just, this is, all praise to Apple for creating this category in 2007. The iPhone was a groundbreaking device. Bravo, Apple. And I've owned every one since, and I've used them, and they're bravo, Apple. But times have changed. It's 9 years later. Could you please... I feel like they've got 4 guys working on this or something. This is the richest company in the world. Please assign a few more guys and update this software. The iOS software is antiquated. And the new Photos, which is their response to this, replaced iPhoto, is so difficult and weird and causes so many problems. I know lots of people, I have abandoned it because it keeps corrupting my photos. So I feel like Apple is, and I'm not alone in this. This is a drumbeat that started in the last few months. Get it together on the software. You have let your software slide, and it is very bad, very frustrating.
Yep.
So there's a few things. Good luck.
I got something to work on there.
Yeah. You can do it, but you have to do it manually in the Photos app. That's crazy. See, if you pay for iCloud, it'll do it. I don't think that's an accident. I will try to put more information about managing photos on an iPhone. Apple feels like they fixed this. For a long time, until recently, I knew people who just fill up their phone with pictures, and there was no obvious way to get them off the phone. So Apple introduced iCloud Photos, the iCloud Photo Library, this automated management, but it only works if you buy storage from Apple. And, well, that's just, for a lot of people, a non-starter. If you're going to, my opinion, if you're going to use an iPhone, if you're going to use Apple products, you got to stay in the Apple ecosystem. It just all works better that way. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Please. All right, Scotty Wilkinson, star of Stage and Screen, is here.
So, yeah, we've been talking in the chat room, of course, about the new Vizio TVs. Mike Mann asks, is 600 nits enough?
Thank you, though.
And
but we're going to do it today, right?
That's next week.
Next week. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm talking to somebody else. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, no problem. Anyway, Mike Mann asked, is 600 nits enough? And the Vizio new P-Series puts out 600 nits from a full screen white field. Now, the UHD premium certification specifies a peak brightness of 1,000 nits, but how they measure that is not entirely clear, at least to most of us. But I do know that it's from a small window on the screen. And very often, even LCD TVs, this was more of a problem with plasma, but even LCD TVs, you can get 1,000 nits out of a smaller window, but then when you go to full field, when the entire screen is white, it doesn't do anywhere near 1,000 nits. So the fact that the Vizio P-Series does 600 from a full screen is very impressive to me. You're never going to see 600 nits of a full white field in regular content. Almost if it's like a snow scene or something like that, you might get a good portion of the screen being white and that bright. But it's never, mostly that very bright stuff out of an HDR set is for what are called specular highlights, small little pieces of very bright content like reflection off of chrome, reflection of the sun off of chrome, that sort of thing. But that does bring up the fact that I just went and saw, I saw a preview screening actually of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And it's opened yesterday, I guess. And I wrote about it on AVS, so I encourage you to go there if you're interested. But that was in Dolby Vision, HDR, high dynamic range, and Atmos sound. And I heard it in the Dolby Private Theater, saw it. And it was, the movie I'm not that thrilled with. I don't think it's that great. But the high dynamic range and the Atmos presentation, some of the best I've ever heard and seen. The white, the brightness. I mean, there's a lot of explosions and stuff, and those things are really bright. They even have, and I mentioned this in the article, they even have, there are these things called interstitials, right, which are just mostly pure black screens, momentary, to transition from one scene to another. But in this movie, there are some black interstitials, but there's also one white interstitial, which is the entire screen, in this case 30 feet wide, of pure bright white. And I was almost squinting. So the fact that Dolby Vision HDR can get to 31 foot Lamberts on a screen that big is really something. And it presents itself incredibly well in Batman v Superman. I can't recommend the movie necessarily, but if you want to see the best example of high dynamic range that I've seen in a commercial cinema, that's it. The blacks are fabulous. The shadow detail is wonderful. And the Atmos is way out into the auditorium for almost the entire movie. The music, all the action, is going around you, and it's very well coordinated with what's on the screen. So unfortunately, it's not the best movie showing that is showing the best high dynamic range that I've ever seen. So what can I tell you? As a student of this technology, I went through and sat through this 2.5-hour movie, which was a little too long in my opinion, although there was a panel after the screening of some of the filmmakers, and they said, well, our first rough cut was 4 hours and we weren't sure what to cut. We didn't know what to cut. So they cut it down to 2.5. And there's at least one comment on my piece on AVS Forum that said it wasn't long enough. They kind of chopped it up too much. Okay, fine.
Are you talking about Smurfs 2 again?
No. Batman v Superman.
Oh, God, was it awful?
It was not good. I did not like it. It was very humorless.
Getting terrible reviews.
Oh, yeah. But it was some of the best high dynamic range and Atmos sound I've ever heard or seen. So I'm really torn about it because, as I said, as a student of the technology, right, it's really worth seeing in a Dolby Vision, a Dolby Cinema for that reason, just to experience that.
There's a meme going around.
But 2.5 hours of life lost is another question.
Yeah.
What's the meme?
The meme is sad Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't look too happy through much of that movie.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, nobody looks happy.
Somebody asked him about the reviews, which are terrible. And Henry Cavill is sitting next to him.
Do you guys feel, and whether it will even affect the film as such?
Well, the interesting thing is that...
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Sad Ben Affleck.
Softly creeping
And he's going, oh,
Why
man,
did I make this movie?
when can I get out of here?
Totally. He has that what have I done face.
Yes.
Kind of like Chris Christie when he was standing behind Trump.
Yes, yes, Heather, exactly.
How that you guys feel and whether it will even affect the film as such.
Well, the interesting thing is that when you get to the position,
Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. Go
That's
ahead.
all right. No, that's perfectly fine. That was the other thing I could have talked about on the show today was Batman v Superman. Because that's, right up there. It's the big blockbuster opening this weekend.
I think you picked the right subject.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, the Vizio is definitely the bigger story. User 7783 is asking, should we buy the new Vizio TV or last year's model? Absolutely this year's model. No question about it. If you can afford it. And the 50-inch is only $1,000. And then it goes 50, 55, 65, and 75. The 75 is, I think, $3,800. So that's not cheap. But try to find another 75-inch high dynamic range capable set for $3,800. I mean, the Sonys and the Samsungs at that size are twice that much, probably, roughly. So the app,
and it's available now, right?
It's available now. They were another brilliant stroke on their part. They made the announcement on the day it actually went on sale. It wasn't like, oh, it's coming in 3 months. Here it is. Here's the announcement. You can go buy it today.
Where do you get it? Like at Costco?
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
I think or on the Vizio website you can order it. But I think Best Buy, Costco might have it actually. I thought Best Buy might have an exclusive, but now that I'm thinking about it, that may not be true. Certainly Best Buy, and maybe Costco, and certainly Vizio.com. And there are people now who have it in their homes.
Wow.
So that was another brilliant thing. Usually these announcements are, oh, it'll be coming in 6 months. No, it's here today. It does not have quantum dots, Mike Heiss. It does not use quantum dots. That's one reason they were able to get it cheaper than the reference. All right.
All right, Scotty, have a great one.
Thanks, Leo. Talk to you later.
See you tomorrow or next week.
Next week. Bye.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I think I misstated, and I'm sure Scott did not, but I misunderstood. That new Vizio TV that he was all excited about doesn't use Android TV. It uses Google Cast, which is interesting. And you get with it with the TV. It comes with an Android tablet that you can use Google's Cast capabilities to cast from the TV. So it's built in to the TV. Although adding Google Cast to any TV is $35. So not a hard thing to do. It's a good thing, though, to have that built in. It's called Google Cast now. It was Chromecast. Remember that? Yeah. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. We go on with the show. Our next call comes from Riverside, California. Tom. Hi, Tom. Leo Laporte.
Hi, Leo. I didn't realize there was such a show behind the show.
It's an ongoing extravaganza.
Oh, my gosh.
The podcast listeners get the additional content. It's just that I'm sitting here during a commercial or during your local news, so I continue on.
You sure do. You sure get it.
Sometimes to my detriment.
My technical ability is about it's a little simple on a good day.
Good. No, you know what? That's what we're here for. We're here to help you get that technology working.
Hey, but I might be asking, a friend of mine, he's from Rhode Island. Did you have a relative that did broadcasting back in Rhode Island at one time?
Yeah, it wasn't a relative, but Leo Laporte was very famous on radio in Providence, on WPRO radio. He was a legend but no relation. It turns out to be a very common French-Canadian name, and I remember when I was a kid growing up in Providence, and I looked in the phone book, and there were 21 Leo Laportes in the phone book. So
funny.
We're all related, but distantly.
Tell them that.
Yeah, explain that, yeah.
I will.
No, I get emails all the time from people saying, "Oh, it's so cool you're following in your father's footsteps." And so, my father was a professor of geology. I'm definitely not following in his footsteps.
Well, your field sure has expanded with all the new stuff out there.
Yeah, you know, there's no better beat than technology. It's great because it's important. It's the toy store, but it's important. But nobody dies. It's nice. You know, it's fun.
I agree.
So what can I do? What can I do for you today?
I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 5. It's about 6 months old.
Nice phone. I have it as well. I love it.
And it's a Sprint service. And about 3 weeks ago, this thing popped up, and I wrote it down. Well, let me pull it on screen here. And it says the page at top app web XYZ says warning, and that's all caps. With Samsung Note 5 is infected with virus, and immediate action.
No. You know, it's sad that we're seeing this kind of stuff on mobiles. We've seen it on desktops for a long time. You update your Samsung, do you not?
I'm like I said, you're dealing with a.
But whenever the phone says we have an update for you, you take it, I'm sure.
Well, I've been cautious of that because I don't know what's coming through.
Always take the updates from Samsung. Absolutely always. Or from your carrier. In this case, it'll come from Sprint. Sprint will say, I have an update. Always take those because those do fix problems. And there have been problems in the Android operating system in the past. That's not what you're seeing. What you're seeing, it's easy for a website, and people should know this, it's easy for a website to know what browser you're using. There's a little thing called the user agent. That's the browser tells the website, I am this browser. It actually tells it a lot more than that. It passes on this text, this user agent text, every time you visit a website. In there is information that would let a website or a script running on the website to know that you're using a Note 5. If you surfed in probably on a Galaxy S6 or an iPhone, it would have different text. You're on an iPhone. This is problematic. It's BS. Ignore it. It's just an attempt to get you to either download malware or buy something, more likely buy something. Very hard to get malware on modern operating systems. As long as you keep them up to date, you're fine. So make sure you do apply those patches from Sprint. Very important. Or whoever offers you those patches. It will either be, in the case of an iPhone, it's always from Apple. So if you get a patch from Apple, do it. And it won't come through a website. It'll come in the notifications. It'll pull you into the settings preference pane where you'll see there's an update there. That's real. Similarly, if you're on an Android device, it either will come from the manufacturer of the device, in your case Samsung. Most likely, though, almost always it comes from your carrier, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon. When you see that notification, it's fine to take it and install it. Mobile devices, because they're more modern than, OS X just celebrated its 15th birthday. Windows is a lot older than that. And both operating systems were designed in a different era, an era where we just weren't under attack all the time. So they weren't as secure. They've, over time, become more secure. But mobile devices were designed, their operating systems were designed in an era where we knew what was going on. We knew these mobile devices would be juicy targets for hackers. So they're designed really to protect themselves, and it's much more difficult to cause a problem on these mobile devices. But bugs happen. There's no such thing as perfect software. So when you get an update, do it. Android now has started updating, and Samsung supports this monthly. Sprint supports it too, I believe. So you will start getting a monthly Android. This is your Android March update. I just got my March update for my S7. If you have a recent Android device, you'll see that. And do them because you do want to have those fixes. People often ask me, should I run security software? You have security software on there. Google's Android does, in fact, scan everything you install for known problems. So you don't need to get an additional tool like Lookout, which is a great tool, but it's doing essentially the same thing. Google's already scanning for problems, and I think that that's sufficient. Your Android's pretty secure nowadays. I wouldn't worry too much. Be careful. The only thing you want to be careful about is getting software from a source other than the Android Play Store, the Google Play Store. And on Google Play, don't download Russian wallpaper apps. Things that get your apps from Microsoft, or Facebook. Get them from big names. Be a little careful about where you get your stuff from. 8888 Ask Leo. The website is techguylabs.com. Things I mention will be there. And so you don't have to write anything down as you're listening, and it's free, and there's no sign up. I'll probably talk about this next week because I just got it. Intel has something called the Compute Stick. You're seeing more and more of these. The Raspberry Pi, a $35 computer. This is a computer about $100 from Intel. I think this one was $80. That just plugs into a television set and turns it into a computer, Windows 10 or Linux computer. And this has a USB slot. It has an SD card slot. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of memory. Only 1 gigabyte of RAM, and I think I don't know how much storage. 8 gigabytes of storage. So you wouldn't want to use it as a general purpose computer. But boy, you could do it a lot of things with it, including make it a streaming TV device. Pretty cool, the Intel Compute Stick. Just got that in the mail. I'm going to play with it a little bit. I got the Linux version. I'm going to play with it a little bit, and I'll give you a review next week. I mentioned last week the Galaxy S7, just an update on that. Still very happy with it. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the phone to get for Android. Although we're hearing very positive reviews about Apple's new iPhone SE. I guess I haven't talked about that today yet. I will when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
They placed him in charge of the trading charge. And every day while slaves were being slaughtered and carted.
It's such a good show. So there are great shows all the time. And some of them aren't even sold out. Do you know about Score Big? Hey, let me tell them about Score Big, okay, Echo? Echo, stop. She doesn't want to stop. This is my secret weapon in getting tickets to see shows. ScoreBig.com. So it turns out, and this I did not know, but it is not unusual for big events to not sell out. You'll never hear about that, though, because they don't, they don't want to announce they're not selling the tickets. So what do? They go to Score Big, where you can get great deals on great shows, sometimes saving as much as 40% or more, 60%. See, it turns out almost half of all live events have unsold tickets. Score Big is making it easy to attend those events by working directly with your favorite teams and artists to get their unsold seats at unpublished prices. At scorebig.com, you can always get huge savings, guaranteed, by paying much less than what the box office charges for tickets. You can also go to, you can get your Hamilton tickets there too. They're selling those out, I'm pretty sure. But they have lots of tickets for every event. You can also make an offer with Score Big. They have a name your ticket price feature. You'll receive an answer instantly. That'll save you up to 60%, but you can also pay a fixed price, still lower than major online ticket resellers. And what I really like, and I think this is something to pay attention to with Score Big, the fee they quote you is the full fee. Unlike a lot of ticket services, there are no surprise fees. Shipping is free. And if you say, oh man, and I did this, by the way, I really want to see Beyonce, you can favorite shows and events and get notified on upcoming dates to attend. That is a nice feature. Lots of ways to take advantage of unsold seats. Quit overpaying for tickets. Get the tickets you want at prices you can afford. This is the first place I go every time to get seats. And you know me, I like to go to shows, and I like to save money too. The next time you're planning to attend a game or show, visit Score Big first, see how much you can save. Use the promo code TechGuy. You'll save an extra $20 off your first ticket purchase. ScoreBig.com, promo code TechGuy. Walk right in, sit right down. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Harold in Santa Rosa. You're next. Hi, Harold.
Yes.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
Well, I used to listen to you when you were on KGO, and years ago you used to sponsor and talk a lot about ESET.
Yeah.
And I've been using it.
Good antivirus.
It's now up for renewal, and I don't hear you talking about it anymore, and I wonder if you're...
They stopped buying ads, so that it's not... But I have to say, I haven't accepted any new advertisers doing antiviruses because the world has changed. So if you use Windows 7, 8, or 10, there is a free antivirus. Actually, with 8 and 10, Microsoft installs it for you. They call it Defender. Used to be called Microsoft Security Essentials. If you're using Windows...
I'm a Mac person, so...
Oh, you don't need it at all, then.
Okay. I mean, that's what I keep hearing, but
There are Mac viruses. We just heard about... I'll explain why you don't need it. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, the first Mac ransomware virus was discovered. Oh, boy.
I heard about it.
How scary is that? Ransomware is the worst kind of virus you can get. It installs on your system, and I'll explain how it installs. This is the key that you need to know in a second. But it installs on your system and then encrypts your documents with strong encryption, which means you can never use them. And then it says, and if you would ever like to see your documents again, you'll send us some Bitcoin. Usually it's around $400 worth of Bitcoin. And then if you send it to them, then they send you a key. Unfortunately, sometimes the key doesn't work. Sometimes they don't send you a key. You have to do it pretty quickly. Otherwise, they say they're going to delete the key. It's just a nightmare. And law enforcement says, don't pay these guys. You don't want to encourage them. On the other hand, there have been cases, a hospital in L.A. and a New England Police Department, both of whom paid the ransom because they didn't have backups. A good backup solves this problem. So how do you get this virus? Well, usually it comes in an email, but it could be a link that you get on Facebook or somewhere else that seems benign. You click the link, it installs some software, and you're off to the races. So when this was discovered, the way it got on the Macintosh was some well-known Macintosh BitTorrent software transmission. The bad guys got into the transmission site and modified the transmission download. They actually pointed the download link to their servers in Turkey, and instead of getting transmission, you still got transmission, but the installer was modified to also install ransomware. As far as I know, no one got bit by this. 6,500 people downloaded it before the transmission folks fixed it. Those 6,500 people probably got protected because, well, the first thing that happens is when you, on a Macintosh, when you install software, unless you've turned off Gatekeeper, and you can turn it off in the settings, Gatekeeper has 3 settings. One is only install software from the Apple Store. That's the safest. But also, you're missing out on a lot of other software. Transmission's not on the Apple Store, for instance. Second setting is only install software from Apple, the Apple Store, or from a developer who has a signed certificate from Apple. That proves their identity, right? You would think a bad guy, well, they're not going to do that because then we'd know who they are. Well, apparently these bad guys in Turkey either got a certificate from Apple or stole somebody else's certificate. We're not sure, but they had a legitimate certificate. So the first hurdle they got over. Most bad guys won't get over this hurdle if you have Gatekeeper set to the default, which you should. There is a third setting that says, just install anything, don't worry about it. I do not recommend that. But the default on Gatekeeper is fine, which is that middle setting, which is only software from the App Store or signed by Apple for a specific developer. They did get that on. Although, as soon as Apple found out about this, they yanked the certificate. So if after the certificate yank, if you try to install this software, it would say, no, can't install it. You have to go through some extra hoops. This certificate is no longer valid. That's good. The other thing Apple does is they have an interesting, very smart system that is not visible to you. They have a malware scanner built into OS X, and they update that silently, regularly. We think monthly, maybe more often. So that's one of the other thing they did is they immediately updated that malware detector to include the ability to detect this new virus. to my knowledge, even though 6,500 people downloaded it, not one, to my knowledge, got bit. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't heard from anybody, and I've asked. I haven't seen any examples of this. So the system works. And of course, after a couple of days, not even that long, maybe 24 hours, you couldn't get bit. So Apple does a very good job of protecting you on OS X. And there are very few viruses. But in general, an antivirus is only a second line of defense because viruses spread so fast now. In order to get bit by a virus, if you update your antivirus regularly, it might take a few days before the update comes out that has the signature for the virus that has been going around like a wildfire. They spread so fast. So very often you're installing a virus that your antivirus doesn't even know about. So in that way, it gives you a false sense of security. So I think it's more about being careful about what you install and who you install stuff from than it is about the antivirus protecting you. In most cases, the real dangerous period of time is that time between the virus beginning to spread and the time the antivirus just knows about it. And that's long enough that most people, are operating in that window. So the antivirus is only for kind of afterwards. It's not a bad thing, although the larger security suites sometimes cause more problems than they solve. So I'm a little, reluctant to recommend them. The reason we recommended ESET for so long is because they were so lightweight that they didn't really get in the way. And they're still around. You don't need it on the Macintosh. And if you do use it on Windows, and it's not a bad thing to have a secondary antivirus on Windows, but don't let it lull you into a sense of, I can do whatever I want. I've got an antivirus. No. Truthfully, the antivirus is not going to protect you in most cases. The things you really have to worry about are those things that come out so rapidly. Best thing to do, download and install all updates whenever they arrive, critical updates from Microsoft or Apple. Make sure you install those religiously, immediately. Be very careful about what software you install and where you get it from. And trust, in most cases, both Microsoft and Apple are doing a really good job of protecting you. Windows now comes with an antivirus, which, that, of course, it should have all along. So they also have a malicious software removal tool that gets updated automatically on Windows. I think you're pretty safe. It's much better than it was. 8888 ask Leo. Oh, and have a good backup, please. Even if you get bit by ransomware, it's amazing to me that this hospital, and they ended up paying $17,000 to get their stuff unlocked, and fortunately it worked. Where was their backup? What kind of IT department do they have? Who's running the place? If you have a good backup, then you just say, well, fine, bad guy, go away, because I have copies unencrypted of all my stuff. How come they didn't have that? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's Johnny Jet Time, our travel guru. Johnny joins us from his jaunts around the world. Last time you were on a riverboat in Germany. Where are you today?
I'm home in L.A., nice and sunny, warm L.A.
Your body must just be so confused.
It can be. I took a nice little nap, but
how was the river cruise? Was it nice?
It was great until we got to Amsterdam, and then I was taking an Uber to my hotel, and the guy told us about the Brussels attack.
Oh.
Which is only 126 miles away from where we were, and so that put a big damper on it.
No
but
kidding.
We still went out. Everyone in Amsterdam was like, "Listen, don't let these guys get to you."
That's right.
That's exactly how I feel. People sent me so many emails this week saying, "Should I cancel my trip to Europe?" Do not. Well, I can't tell you what to do, but I would not cancel my trip. I say, get out there. Don't let these guys scare you. Just a bunch of thugs, and I'm not stopping. I'm going to travel more because of these guys.
Yeah, I'm going to Belgium in the fall, and I wouldn't even dream of canceling. But also know it might be a little dangerous, particularly Belgium right now is.
I agree with that.
Kind of a hotbed of terrorism.
For sure, they need to go in there and clean that place up.
Oh man, well, Johnny, welcome back. Glad you made it home safely and had a nice trip. And you're right, we can't let the terrorists. That's why they do terror. To get us to cower in our holes. We can't let them do that.
For sure. So get out, see the world, and and all that good stuff. Although a good tip, by the way, what I do now because of the terrorists is when I arrive at an airport or when I land or depart, I usually use the bathroom on the right side of security. So, instead of hanging out in the, where it's an easy, soft target, I would, wait until I go.
Yeah.
So that's one tip, you can do.
Yeah.
But don't let these guys scare you.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I do have a travel website for you that will make you, will help you travel the world. It's called Project Visa. So, a lot of times I've had friends or readers say, oh my God, I got to the airport and I didn't have a visa to go to this country and they wouldn't let me on the plane. So this website will tell you pretty much whatever country you're going to. And also it's not just for Americans. And it gives you all the information before. I always recommend going to if you're American, go to the U.S. State Department, travelstate.gov. And you can type in, wherever you're going, and it will tell you. But this is a little bit quicker. But I would also double check with the, your country's embassy as well.
I subscribed to, and I'm kind of glad I did, an update from the UK government.
I told you about that. That
was
one
that
of my
you?
tips.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. And
They're the best.
I love it.
They're the best.
That's right. You told me about that. I
that
thought
was
I was
one
going
of
to
my
tell you about it. No, you already know.
Well,
and I get that in the mail, and it's a regular update. And while I don't, it's, I don't really, I'm not planning to go to Burkina Faso anytime soon, but it's still, it's kind of interesting.
For sure. I subscribe to every single country, but you can edit it so you can just pick whatever country you're going to or interested in. So, for example, they sent an email that day right when those attacks happened saying, about the bombs in Brussels, but I wasn't looking at my email.
Right.
But it's a great resource, and there's all kinds of travel tips in there. So I highly recommend. I wish the U.S. government did as good as
the
job.
State Department doesn't have some sort of email list or anything.
If they do, they don't send it out very often. And I subscribe to pretty much everything. Right. But the UK, they do a great job on this.
I love this gov.uk.
Good.
Yeah, I subscribe because of you. Thank you, Johnny.
You're welcome. So I got an app for you too. This one is called Overnight. These guys, I guess, were the talk of South by Southwest, although I did not go this year. And it's a travel app. So before, I always recommended Hotel Tonight, which I'm sure you know about.
Right.
It's for last minute hotels. So these guys are for last minute places to stay. So it's not necessarily a hotel. It's actually not a hotel.
Might be somebody's couch.
Exactly. And so they're saying you can, if you're having a late night at work or you're out and you don't want to go, you can't make it home or whatever, you can request a place to stay.
What a good idea.
It's a great idea, and you get responses supposedly within like 40 seconds. And
can I stay at your house? Oh, sure, come on over. I'll make up the couch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's answering.
Do you pay people for this, or is it just they're good Samaritans?
I was just trying to do it just now, right before I got on. I was afraid to request it because I didn't want to get stuck with it. I believe it's free.
Wow.
But I'm not positive. Hold on, let me see. Actually, I have it. No, you can't. No, they don't. It's not free. They do charge.
Yeah, there must be some incentive for the person to offer their home.
Yeah. They say for hosts, you can make money, make friends, and make your own schedule. You choose, and also they can rent any extra space you have, to make extra cash. So yeah, it's definitely for fun.
And then
you can
hosts
also
get this alert on their phone that says, "Hey, Amber's looking for a place to stay. Would you be interested?" And you say, "Yeah."
Right.
And by the way, if you're nervous about this, they have ratings and everything from previous visitors, so you can kind of vet the host before you stay there.
Exactly.
I think it's for young people. I think I've gone beyond the couch surfing.
I'm with you on that. But listen, but although I do recommend travelers to download it, because let's say you're in an airport,
an emergency. Yeah.
Emergency, huge winter storm or whatever, there's only so many hotel rooms.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to sleep on the airport floor, this is a great alternative.
Yeah, and I see it's like they're showing on their website, like it could be $120, but depending on the place. So it makes sense. There has to be some incentive for the host to offer their place.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and boy, it's better than a hotel. If you can't get a hotel room, it's a lot better than a hotel. Better than sleeping on the street.
A lot better than an airport.
Or the
airport. A lot better than an airport.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Airports don't seem to want you to sleep there.
A lot of them don't. And some of them actually will kick you out of the terminal.
Really?
Some do.
Wow.
So, And the lounges all close. Most lounges close by 11 p.m. I mean, all depends on where you're going. If they're international flights, the international ones will stay open late, but they do close, and you won't have a nice, comfy place to stay.
Johnny Jet, he's a traveling man, and we benefit because he does it all, so we don't have to, or something. He certainly has checked that out and tested, road tested everything we talk about here, websites, apps as well. And if you go to his website, lots more information, including his travel newsletters, where you can get great travel deals for free. How come you don't charge for those? You should charge for those.
No, I don't, but I was actually just looking just now. I just temporarily put a hold on a flight from my dad and I to go to Japan. American Airlines, 787 out of L.A. to Haneda for $600 round trip per person.
Wow.
I mean, that's insane.
I want to go to Japan. Can you take me instead of your dad? I'm almost old enough.
And they're offering, by the way, and if you do that route, make sure you sign up to American Airlines. They will give you a 5,000 miles extra bonus points because it's a new route. So
nice.
And I get double miles when I fly.
Nice.
So right from that one trip, for $600, I would get a ton of miles.
JohnnyJet.com. Also follow him on the Twitter and Instagram because lots of good information on Twitter. Look at his lists. He's got lists of airlines and travel experts and all sorts of stuff you can add to your Twitter feed. And, of course, his Instagram pictures are always enjoyable, always fun. And his wife, Natalie DeScala, also has an Instagram feed with great pictures. And
she will be very appreciative.
You guys are great. Yeah. It's so much
her head
fun.
Just popped up.
I saw her head over there. That's why. Nice to see you, Johnny. Thanks for joining us. And we'll talk again next week. Where are you going?
Happy Easter.
Where are you going? You going to stay home for Easter?
I'm staying home for Easter.
But then?
My mother-in-law's in town.
Then maybe Haneda. Who knows?
Exactly.
It could be Japan. We just don't know.
You never know.
With Johnny,
I don't know.
He doesn't even know. Do you keep a go bag by the door just in case? You can run out the door.
My bag is always ready to go.
His bags are always packed. That's your new motto. My bags are always packed. Have travel case will. No, that doesn't work.
Exactly.
Thanks, Johnny. We'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have passport will travel. Yeah, I was all set for really bad airport experiences because of spring break, and it was fine. The airports were easy, although we were in New York, but all the attractions in New York were jammed.
Were they?
Man.
Did you see a lot of security, a lot of long arms?
Yeah, there was, a lot of long arms. Times Square, of course.
Did you go into Grand Central?
Grand Central, I did, and I saw your picture. Was that your picture? Somebody's picture from Grand Central.
I wasn't there.
Lisa posted a picture. You got to be careful taking pictures of the law enforcement there. I don't think they like that too much.
Well, you got to ask them, but
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how was Mint?
I love Mint. It doesn't make a lot of sense cross country because it's a 5-hour flight. You can't really relax.
Right.
But I love Mint. The JetBlue's got it going. That's a really great service. They're very nice. They're very friendly. They know. And they treat you like special travelers, which is a smart thing to do. That's not always the case in business class.
And they were in the news this week because they're adding it from Boston to San Francisco.
I saw that, yeah.
So
Mint's great. Mint's great.
I've never been on Mint. I've been on JetBlue many times, but haven't done Mint.
It's like any business class. The food's very good. They give you a lot of choices, which is nice. Very attentive service. It's not big. It's that 5-2-1-2-1-2. So
one's the best seat, though, right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I had nobody sitting next to me on the way home, so I kind of had.
Really, that seat went out empty?
Empty.
That is insane.
I know.
Over spring break?
I know.
I'm shocked.
I know. It wasn't a full flight.
It must have been broken.
No. I looked in the back. It wasn't a full flight.
That is very surprising.
8:00 at night on a Friday going back to San Francisco, arriving at midnight. I don't know. You would think that
would be very busy
business flight, right?
For sure. Well, Natalie and I took American, and we got upgraded using my system-wide upgrades, and their 777-300 product is awesome.
I love the 777. Yeah.
Their flight attendants need some work, though, some of them, and the food, but the product is really good.
Both times we've flown Mint, the flight attendants have been extra attentive and nice. And if you're getting up and going to the bathroom, they ask you, "Can I help you? Is there anything you need? Would you like some more refreshments?" It's very nice. It's really it's a good way to go.
American needs some help on that.
Nice
part.
quilts and blankets.
Yeah, well, they have that on American.
No, but I rate a lot of times they're not the best. These are nice. They're like down comforters and good pillows.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey.
And go see Hamilton.
Oh, I heard.
Oh, man.
The album I found is marked explicit. Hamilton, original Broadway cast recording.
I guess is that Alexa?
Yeah.
We just set up ours.
Yeah.
So she just perked up just now. Oh, there she goes.
I don't mind. She knows me so well. Alexa, stop. Alexa. Oh, she's Echo, stop. I almost just want to leave it going. I love it so much.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Johnny.
You have a great Easter.
So you think you might go with your dad to Japan, or is that no?
No, I booked it. I mean, it's on hold, but it's not for this week.
Wow.
So
nice.
I think we might have a conflict, but I just wanted to make sure I had secure that $600 airfare.
Wow. I really want to go to Japan.
He does too. So that's why I'm going to take him. I just don't.
He is so lucky. I got to do that. My mom is begging me to take her places.
You got to do it.
I got to do it.
I'm taking my dad to the Kentucky Derby.
You did that last year, didn't you?
No, I did it 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be fun.
So
that's hard. How do you get in?
This time I'm going with Talk Tours.
Talk. Yeah, we got to talk. Finally, we got to talk. I had a book in the fall of 2017, but we finally got on Talk. So,
I can't wait to hear about that one.
I can't wait to. All right, Johnny, see ya.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Douglas from Las Vegas, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Douglas.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
Going great.
Wonderful. I'm a long-time listener. My question today is I like a desktop, and I'm looking for a new monitor. And I want to get something with, eye strain as like a problem for me. I don't I seem to get headaches and stuff like that. So I did some research, and there's some new monitors. I don't know if it's, that's why I was calling today. BenQ, I don't know if you ever heard of them. They got some monitors.
BenQ was the old Acer monitors.
Oh, okay. So it's renamed.
BenQ's been around for a long time. They're good.
Oh, they are good. Okay. Yeah. One thing they have now are these new series of for eye strain, and one of the things is they have low blue light emissions, and they reduce the flicker. Whatever they can do to help with the eye strain.
Yeah.
And that's why is this real stuff, or can any of the new monitors do that?
Yeah. No. They can't. So high refresh rate, of course, that's something you can shop for in a monitor. And that does really help, particularly if you're in an office environment and the flicker from the fluorescents, which do flicker. They just do it fast enough you may not notice, but they flicker, and they flicker in sequence when you're a monitor, and that's an instant headache. So a high refresh rate is really great to have. It makes it very crisp, and it yes, that should help. The blue thing is an interesting thing. Years ago, literally maybe 20 years ago, my optometrist made for me some special glasses for the computer for screen reading. It didn't really make it easy, and it did a couple of things: reduce glare, which of course is a problem.
Sure.
Modern monitors are less glary now. They've got great ways of treating the screen so that they don't reflect back. So that's, and also position the monitor in a good, I think the biggest thing for eye strain is positioning the monitor properly in relationship to windows and other light sources will make a huge difference. And then those glasses did in fact cut blue. So it's interesting because both Android and iOS have started to build in this new feature for late night that eliminates blue or cuts back on the blue in the monitor. And I'm not sure this is based on sound science.
Right.
But it's certainly the thing, and there are programs like F.Lux that do this as well. The idea is if you shift the monitor away from the blue to the yellow on the spectrum, it's more like nighttime. And the theory is, and I stress this, I don't think it's been proven. I think this is all theory. The blue light tells your brain, oh, it's daylight. It's daytime. Wake up. Wake up. And so less blue helps with that. I don't know if it's stressful or not.
But that would be like that would be the computer telling the display to do that, not the display itself. Right.
Well, and then but that's right. And you can, in fact, can have any monitor will do this. Any smartphone will do this too if you're running some software that just shifts it into the yellow. Apple's Night Shift has a slider, and most of these do, that you can pick how far into the yellow you want to go. It can actually look yellowy, which I don't like. And I also feel like, I don't know if really I think it comes from something our eyes adjust for this. You don't think it's blue when you go outside or yellow when you go inside. Your eyes adjust for this. We're very good at that. The only reason we even know it's blue or yellow is because of cameras, which don't adjust, and we have to adjust the white balance. And frankly, that's what I think has happened, is the knowledge that we got from a camera that it's blue outside and kind of greenish from the fluorescence or yellow from the incandescence. Our brains don't register that. Our eyes completely independently will solve for that, but the camera doesn't. And so I think then there's all this information going around that, outside's blue, inside is yellow, it must be better at night to have yellow screens. No, we're not cameras. Our eyes are very good at adjusting for this.
So the thing you'd say is definitely the high
refresh rate is good.
And like a good height or a good stand for the monitor.
It should be at arm's length. It should be at eye level. The middle of the screen should be at eye level. You don't want to have a bright light behind you, nor do you want to have a bright light behind the monitor. You kind of would like to balance the light as best as possible, but you don't want it to be dark in the room either, right? I mean, this is all the stuff that makes TV viewing more comfortable as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. No, these are all good things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it's Snake Oil or BenQ selling. I mean, you can get a high refresh rate monitor from anybody. A good monitor will be a high refresh rate now.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You want to hear one funny thing?
Yeah.
It was just on your KFI News. It was about a smart car got ticketed because it didn't park correctly.
Oh, it's just the beginning, my friend. The Google cars, they've been experimenting with the Google cars, the autonomous Google cars, self-driving Google cars, to make them more aggressive, because up to now they've been very passive. And actually it's fairly annoying, could even be dangerous. If somebody comes up in California, we have 4-way stops, and you're all supposed to take turns. First person there is first person to go. If the car is too passive, it's like
it just sits there.
It just sits there. It's not good for anybody. I hate this. I get to a 4-way stop, and somebody was there before me, waves me on, and that's dangerous. Take your turn. Follow the rules. Don't make this up. And so they decided that, we got to make these cars a little more aggressive. And of course, what's the first thing that happened? It hit a bus.
That's right.
It hit a bus because, and now they have to adjust the program a little more. It didn't hurt. Nobody was hurt. It hit at very low speed. But the car had been taught, you can be a little more aggressive getting out of a lane because cars behind you will slow down and let you in. Now they have to teach it unless it's a bus. Buses don't let you in. And so this is a new rule, and we just have to teach our smart cars to be a little bit more like us, I guess. Great story. Hey, it's great to talk to you. Thank you, Douglas.
You too.
Take care. Bye-bye. Mike in Cypress, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mike.
Hi. How you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, kind of frazzled here. My Internet Explorer will not work. I keep getting this little pop-up that says Internet Explorer has stopped working, and then it defaults to a program that's caused it to stop working, and we'll try to solve it for you. And that
always gets me. That always gets me. Like Microsoft, and then they're going to say, we're going to fix this. Yeah, right. And then, can we send information back to the home office? We'll get back to you. Yeah.
Well, I went to the internet, and then one of the solutions they said was to reset the Internet Explorer, which I did that.
Okay.
And then now it comes up with, "Hi, I'm Internet Explorer 11. We're going to set you up just like it's a brand new thing." And then immediately Internet Explorer pop-up comes right back up again.
That's so annoying. Windows 10?
Windows 7. Okay. And I have Microsoft Essential on it.
Do you update regularly? You have all the updates, right?
All the updates, and the virus protection is all updated. There's nothing going on in there, at least according to what it tells me.
So that was exactly the right thing to do, which is to sometimes it could be a plug-in or something in the cache that is causing a problem. And so the first thing is always to reset the browser to make sure that that's not it. But in this case, I think like any program, it's time to uninstall and reinstall. So in other words, one of the program files is probably damaged. And
you can uninstall Internet Explorer?
Believe it or not.
I didn't know you could.
You can. So you're going to be uninstalling what they call installed updates. You can't really remove Internet Explorer, but we want to get rid of everything we can. So uninstall the updates. And
so using the uninstall Microsoft
add
uninstall.
programs and features. Yep. And then reinstall. This is, by the way, Microsoft's suggestion. Another suggestion coming from our chat room, which is to launch Internet Explorer with no add-ons. Sometimes what happens is you get a malicious or poorly written plugin installed on that thing, and that can
How do you launch it if you can't get it?
Right. So what you have to do is launch Internet Explorer in safe mode.
Oh, okay.
And there is not Windows safe mode, but an Internet Explorer safe mode that will, just like Windows safe mode, it will run it without plugins. Then do the reset. So you have to do this from the command line. Are you ready?
Yep.
You know, I should just put a link in the show notes to how to do this. But basically, you open a command prompt, and it's just good. I'm running out of time. The key is to launch Internet Explorer with -ext off, which starts it without extensions, and then reset it and turn off all extensions. A lot of times that'll fix it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Can you... And then, that's right, in the folder, there may be an Internet Explorer safe mode icon. If there is, that's another way to do it. He has IE 11. You know, do they still do that? Do they still install it that way with the... Let me look. Safe mode. For some reason, I felt like that was no longer... Let me check. Internet Explorer. Safe mode. Yeah, I don't think they put a I don't think they put that anymore in the unfortunately in the settings. Let's see. Yeah. On Windows 10, Internet Explorer isn't even in the menu anymore. You can't uninstall Internet Explorer, but what you can do is uninstall all of the add-ons and so forth. And that's probably what you want to do. I'm looking at 10, not 7. Our show today brought to you by Atlassian. I just did a survey of the services we use here at the Brick House, and we use Atlassian like crazy. Do you know who Atlassian is? Atlassian. If you're a programmer or you work on a team of almost any kind, you probably have heard of, and you may even use Atlassian. If you don't yet, you ought to. We use it like crazy. First became aware of Atlassian when we worked on our website with our team in Austin. They used Jira. Jira is a really great project management tool. It allows you to assign, track, and manage tasks for any project, no matter how complex. It was a great interface for us to work with them, keep an eye on what they were up to. Man, I wish everybody used Jira. But then we started using their HipChat product. That's kind of like a chat product on steroids. It gives you instant messaging, but also video chatting. It integrates with hundreds of different services. We just signed up for a Panopta so that on my HipChat, we have HipChat for everything. We have an engineering channel. Now I see when there's outages right there in the HipChat channel. I get a message. It turns out I didn't know this, but when I asked around, that our team is using Confluence for keeping track of issues. Create, share content, organize results, bring team members up to speed with Confluence. The only thing, as far as I know, we don't use, although I should ask Patrick, our programmer, is Bitbucket. That allows you to test, review, and manage code in real time. If we had a big programming team, you'd bet we'd be using that. Atlassian. Atlassian. If you're not using it, you're missing out on the best tools in the business. I was just reading a great Joel Spolsky post from 2000. He's kind of like the guru of programming. And he said, you only take a job where they have the best tooling, period. If you don't, you will regret it. The best tooling comes from Atlassian. Atlassian. Atlassian.com. Unleash the potential in your team and build what's next. We use HipChat all the time. We have a HipChat channel for new screensavers, engineering and ops, the website. I just started one for product reviews, so we know who's got what and who's reviewing what. And just it's nice because it's so easy to start a channel and just have keep people on the same page. I love it. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. It's the only place you can go on the radio, and we won't be talking about politics. No, we won't. We'll just be talking about the toy store, the fun stuff. 8888 Ask Leo. So Apple had its event. I've gone through the whole show. I'm not even mentioned Apple's event on a Monday, in which they announced a new iPhone and a new iPad. And part of the reason I haven't mentioned is because, yeah, that's nice. Ho hum. We're at the point really now where there are not going to be any major innovations to announce. These are just variations on a theme. Until they come up with something really, new and exciting, it's just, okay. So if you want a smaller iPhone, this looks like a really good one, the iPhone SE. They have the guts of the latest iPhones in them, fast chips and so forth. In fact, they put more memory in there, more RAM, 2 gigs of RAM, we think, which would be a big improvement. And battery life is spectacular. People say, I haven't had one, and I probably won't get one because it's a 4-inch screen, and I like big screens. I cannot lie. So I'm going to stick with the big screen variants of the iPhone. But for somebody who wants to save money, at $400 starting point, that's pretty aggressive pricing. And I think a lot of businesses, a lot of people who don't want to spend money, kids, younger people, this is a great choice. It's a full iPhone. It's just small. They also announced a new iPad. Instead of the iPad Air, it's interesting. I have a feeling they're kind of phasing the Air line out. They're replacing the 10-inch iPad with an iPad Pro device. That means it'll work with the Apple Pencil, and it has some of the other features of the iPad, including the 4 speakers that change as you rotate it. That's a good idea. So the speakers are left and right no matter how you're holding the screen. But the thing I found most interesting in the new iPad, they're giving it a full camera. This is going to have the same camera as in the iPhone. Apple finally, after all this time, 6 years, is acknowledging that people are going to use the iPad as their camera. I don't know why it took them so long. All you have to do is go out in the real world and see people using tablets for cameras all the time. So why should you have a second-rate camera in there? So this will be, as far as I can tell, the equivalent to the camera on the iPhone 6S. No optical image stabilization, but 12 megapixels and the capability of doing 4K video. And an iPad is a great device for shooting video because you have this big viewfinder. You really see what you're taking pictures of. Now, please, don't do it at concerts or school events or things where you're blocking people with your giant iPad camera. It's my only beef on that, but I think this is good. The iPad Pro, and they didn't give it a separate name from its big brother, so I'll call it the Baby Pro, the Little Pro, 10-inch Pro, will be a really great device for iPhone photography or iOS photography because all the apps, that Light and Adobe has some great apps now, and you'll be able to take a picture or take a video, edit it, post it all from one device. A little expensive. It's about $100 more than the existing iPad, but it has storage options of considerable capacity, up to 256 gigabytes of storage. So you can load it up with stuff. But really, I mean, this is just an incremental improvement over the previous iPad and iPhone, and it's a new release. That's all. And fittingly, Apple did not have this in a big venue. They didn't make a big splash about it. The other interesting thing that happened, we thought they moved the date of the Apple event to Monday because they knew that on Tuesday they would have their day in court over this Department of Justice request to unlock the iPhone, or help them unlock the iPhone used by a terrorist in San Bernardino. At the 11th hour, after Apple's event, about 5 o'clock, the night before the court hearing, the Department of Justice said, never mind. Somebody's come to us with a way that we might be able to do this without Apple's help. So we're going to try this, and we'll get back to you, Your Honor, if we want to continue on with our suit. We'll get back to you on April 5th. After some digging, a number of intrepid reporters have seemed to have discovered that it's an Israeli company called Celebrite. They've had hacking techniques for earlier versions of the iPhone for a long time. In fact, I seem to remember they made a device that was widely used by law enforcement. You would just plug into a phone, and it would suck all the data out of it. Basically, make a copy of the phone on the Celebrite device, and then law enforcement could go on its merry way, a minute or two later with everything. And apparently, they approached the Department of Justice, or there was some conversation with the FBI or something, but Celebrite indicated, yeah, we can get into that phone. Interesting. I don't think it's the end of this story. I do think that law enforcement wants to get into these phones, all of them. There are hundreds of them used by drug dealers and other criminals, not just terrorists, and they can't get into them, and they'd really like Apple's help. In fact, I think, frankly, we're going to see Congress get into the act. It'll be interesting to see if they mandate that tech companies like Apple and Samsung and others, if they want to do business in the United States, have to offer a version of their encryption that the government can get into. And I think we've talked about this before. I don't think that's a very good idea, because if government can get into it, ultimately bad guys will be getting into it. And all you do is you weaken the privacy and the security of these devices. On the other hand, I understand we got to help law enforcement too. They're doing their best to protect us. Doesn't seem right for a company like Apple or any company to say no to them. And I'm sure if the court ordered Apple to do so, they would help. But I think Apple's right to say, well, we need to have this bigger conversation. And it really needs to be from Congress, I think. Should there be encryption? And the truth is, whatever Congress says or the courts say or Apple says or anybody says, yes, there is encryption. Encryption exists. It's easy. It's well known. Everybody knows how to write a strong encryption program. Not everybody, but anybody who can write software probably does. And since that information is out there, no matter what we do in the United States, bad guys will always have access to it. And the consequences, unfortunately, of unlocking these phones is to weaken them for other bad guys as well. And that's what worries me. So it's a complicated matter, and I guess it's deferred. I don't know. Maybe there's differing opinions in government. The NSA has said quite clearly, strong encryption is important to our national security. It's what keeps Chinese hackers from breaking into our power grid. So it's a bad idea to weaken strong encryption. They're strongly in favor of it. FBI on the other side. Who knows? Maybe at some point somebody told the FBI and the Department of Justice, no, you're going down the wrong path. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out on April 5th. 8888 Ask Leo. Anyway, nothing to get excited about with the Apple announcements. It's exactly as we expected. I'm a little disappointed they didn't announce an update to their laptops. There is a newer Intel chipset. Apple is not yet using the Skylake chipset Many are using it on the Windows side, including Microsoft itself. I'd love to see Apple come out with a Skylake version of its MacBook Pros or an update to its MacBook, its thinnest and lightest laptop, which I love. It's kind of due for an update. Maybe Apple will do that and just kind of slip it out there. But there you have it. If you weren't paying attention or you don't care, there's the information. New iPhone, good for people who want to save money and get a smaller phone. And a new iPad will be the next generation. And when it's time to upgrade, that's probably the one you'll get. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Back to the phones we go, and it's Glenn in Hermosa Beach, California. Hi, Glenn.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing extremely well. Thank you. My question today, I have a laptop that's connected to the internet via Ethernet, and it's running Windows 10.
Yeah.
And I open up an administrator command prompt and type a couple command lines, and I turn it into a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Aren't you clever?
And that's great for my iPhone and my iPad around the house. But what I found is when I leave the area, say I run to the store and I take my phone with me, when I come back, it won't reconnect.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have to type the command prompts again, and I have to change the name of the Wi-Fi hotspot. If I use the same name, it still won't connect.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're using something, there's two kinds of Wi-Fi access points. There's infrastructure, which is the kind you buy and set up, and there's something called ad hoc. And that's what you're using is ad hoc networking. You need to do that, you need two different networking interfaces. In your case, you're using Ethernet to get the internet into the laptop, and then the Wi-Fi built into the internet to set up an ad hoc network. You could, I don't think you'd have to do that from the command line. I would imagine maybe Windows doesn't turn this on. I mean, you certainly, in all phones, you can do this. And in theory, you're setting up a traditional network. You're not, you could put a password on it. You could do all of that stuff. So it should be remembered by any device that connects to it as long as you haven't changed anything. You're saying you're not taking the laptop away, you're taking the phone away, the device away.
Yeah, that's correct. And when I return, it tries to reconnect, and it just says unable to connect to that area. And so that I have to go re-enter and change the name of the hotspot, and then it'll connect.
What version of Windows are you using?
10.
I wonder if... I wonder maybe Microsoft, 10 is so new, and it's not that new, but it feels like it's so new that maybe they're doing something strange with it. I'm looking at Microsoft's own page on setting up an ad hoc network. Open Network and Sharing Center. Then you could say set up a new connection. So you can do it in the control panel. And then set up wireless ad hoc network. You can even turn on password-protected sharing. I don't know why the mobile is losing its network. It should be the same network when it comes in. Even if you turned it off and turned it back on, it should be the same network.
Right. And, if I leave with my iPhone, the iPad is still connected and working.
Right.
But the iPhone's not, and then I have to change it, and they both reconnect to the new name.
Huh. Anybody in the chat room have any ideas about that? It seems like this is something that should just work. Now, I'm looking at these instructions say Windows 7, but I think I don't think that this is restricted to Windows 7. You do have to probably use the old-fashioned control panel on Windows 10 to do it, not the newfangled control panel.
Right.
I don't know. Try doing it in the control panel. And maybe, I don't know how you're doing it in the command line. It may be that the command line setting, the command you're using isn't doing the full ad hoc setup.
Gotcha.
So try doing it in the control panel. It's in the network settings control panel. And see if setting it up there creates a lasting connection. Your phone's not supposed to forget it.
Yeah, the phone remembers it, but I'll try that. Thank you very much, Leo.
You're welcome. That's the only thing I can think of. Sometimes you can be too clever, right? I'm using a command line to set up an ad hoc network. Maybe there's a there's a switch or a setting you're not turning on that's causing this odd behavior. That's the only thing I could think of. Bonnie in San Jacinto, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
I have a cold, but other than that, thank you for your comments about Apple and the terrorist security issue.
How do you feel? What's your position on all this?
Well, I wish Apple would just say, we'll unlock this for you to see only.
Right.
For this particular situation, but we're not going to open it all up.
If that were possible, I think Apple would do it. In fact, I think Apple has offered and continues to offer free assistance to law enforcement. I know they did in this case, whenever they ask for it. But what the government's asking for is, unfortunately, not that. What the government is asking for is a new version of iOS that is now written for that phone, but once written can be used on any phone.
Uh-huh.
And that's the problem. I mean, if you could really be sure that it was only going to work on that phone and it would never leak out,
right?
Then I agree with you. Then they should absolutely help law enforcement.
Yes.
The real question is that possible? Is it possible to make a modified operating system that just doesn't leak out? And we don't have a great track record with the government. 700,000 IRS tax returns inadvertently released by the IRS, the Office of Personnel Management, inadvertently releasing the full dossiers of more than 100 million federal employees. The government doesn't have the best track record at keeping this stuff secure.
They sure don't.
And the minute you give them this new operating system, who knows? Maybe they even say, oh, yay, let's give this to everybody, right? Finally, because, the Attorney General in Manhattan is looking for this, and so are people all over the country, law enforcement officials all over the country. I understand Apple's reluctance to create something like this, but I also think they should help, and I think they do help in most cases.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Well, I hope you can help me. I am not very computer literate, and we have Windows 10 just installed recently, but Verizon and AOL just merged, and that seems to have created a problem on our computer. And I have just lost, pardon me.
Oh, I'm sorry you got a cold.
No.
So you're using AOL as your email and your interface to the internet?
No, actually using Verizon.
Okay.
But
I hear your husband in the background.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
He's saying no.
On Verizon.net and but at any rate, I have just lost a number of contacts.
Oh, I hate it.
Address book.
Yeah, and they're in your which address book? Your AOL address book?
No, Verizon.
Okay. Yeah, so very important not to trust AOL, Verizon, or anybody else with your address book. Make backups of that at all times because, you don't want to lose those contacts.
I hear you about backups all the time, and I don't know.
Now you know why.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I got to take a break. I'm not sure. Let me look into this and see. I'm not sure exactly how Verizon is storing your contacts. I think they use Yahoo. Do they not use Yahoo?
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me see if I can figure this out for you. Well, hang on. We'll be back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. No, I agree with you. Garth says Apple hasn't batted 1,000 either when it comes to keeping user data secure. Of course not. And this is why people always get mad at me when I say this. You should assume if you're putting stuff on the internet, you should assume that it could be inadvertently or advertently leaked into the public. Anything you put on the internet is public or should be thought of as public. So be very careful about what you put on the internet because you're trusting them. Verizon is teaming up with AOL to provide its customers in Florida, California, and Texas with AOL Mail, an enhanced email experience. And you're saying, it sounds like you're saying, Bonnie, that when AOL, you started using, Verizon moved you over to AOL Mail, all your contacts didn't go with it. Is that right?
Well, I'm not sure that
not all of them, your husband says.
Yeah, not all of them. But we still are using Verizon.net for email. I rarely go over to AOL.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Verizon is .net. They're not giving you a choice. They've changed who they use for their email backend on Verizon.net.
So is there anything specifically?
Well, did you ever, let me ask you this, have a separate Yahoo login? Did they ever provide you with a Yahoo-based login to your Verizon account?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because so it sounds like what happened is, and they only did this in 3 states. This is probably a beginning of doing it nationwide, but they want to break it for three states first, and then. So the first thing you might do is call Verizon and explain this, and because I think part of this is they're figuring out what the pitfalls are. So if you call them, it's reasonable because they're doing a trial in California. Reasonable for them to go, oh. We were hoping that there wouldn't be any problems, but maybe there is. Let's get your contact list back. So Verizon's your first people to call, unless you have a Yahoo login, you can log into that account.
I don't believe there's a Yahoo log.
Yeah, let me just look here at Verizon's support, AOL email support. Yeah, they even have a website where you can say, I've lost some contacts. I would guess that because they're doing this in 3 states as a trial, preparatory to rolling it out nationwide, that they would want to hear from you and would correct the problem.
Okay.
I can't fix it. Only Verizon can fix it.
Okay. You think possibly they can get these things back for me?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And now you talk about backup all the time, and we don't have anything on our computer really that we need that would be dramatic.
What about your contacts?
Yeah, that is.
So you do.
But how do we back that up?
Well, you'll have to look for a way to export your address book, and every program should have a way for you to export it. That means make a local copy of it.
Okay.
And once you've done that, then you don't need to go out and get carbonite. You could just back it up to, a floppy disk or a thumb drive or something.
Okay.
But so you may not need carbonite if there's only a few things like that you really want to need a copy. But you should take a look at doing that in case this happens again. But I think Verizon should be able to get it back for you.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I spent a little more time with Bonnie off the air trying to figure out what happened. I guess what's happening is, remember Verizon bought AOL. And, oh, how the mighty have fallen. And it makes sense that Verizon, which has been using, if you're a Verizon Internet Service customer, they had been using Yahoo for their mail. But it makes sense now that they own AOL that they might migrate you over to AOL Mail. Turns out they are, but they're doing it in a step-by-step fashion, which is pretty typical in this business. So they've started with Florida, California, and Texas. And this is what we call a pilot program. If it goes well, then they'll slowly roll it out to the rest of the country. So if you're a Verizon Internet customer, be prepared. This is going to happen to you. It's a good idea to back up your contact lists and your email just in case. But I told Bonnie she should call Verizon because at this point they're expecting problems. That's why they're doing a pilot program instead of rolling it out nationwide immediately. And I think they'll be more receptive to somebody. In fact, they'll want to hear from you that's losing something, losing data or contacts or whatever, because they want to hear about these problems. And they can likely help get your data back. It is also the case that if she logs into her old account, her Yahoo account, using her Verizon credentials, all that stuff may still be there. So if you go to mail.yahoo.com and log in with your Verizon login, as if you're on the Verizon site, you should be able to get into your email there. And that may still have everything, your contacts and so forth. And finally, she said, well, I don't have anything on my computer I need to back up. Except you do, because you have contacts. And now you're responsible for all your data. You can't, just because Verizon says we got it, doesn't mean they got it, obviously. So every program, even if you're trusting Verizon or some other company to keep track of your email, every program should have some sort, and contacts, should have some sort of export capability. Export means take the data that's inside this program and put it on my hard drive, export it out. And by doing that, you're now making a copy locally. That's a backup already. And then if you had Carbonite or you just have some other backup system, it would be on your hard drive. It could be backed up from the hard drive to a third location, which would really be the thing to do. Now you're never going to lose your contacts. That's an important point. I think people look at their computers, I got nothing on here. I don't use it for, if you've got email and you've got contacts, that's valuable stuff. Your contact list is very valuable. I make regular backups of my contact list. And my email too, because after all, my email is at this point a database of my life for the last 15 years. Steve in Hemet, California, you're next. Hi, Steve. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm hoping right now my signal hangs in there. A couple of things, including Verizon. I'm an over-the-road truck driver. I just went back to driving over the road. I've got a Samsung Note 4.
Okay.
With like 22 gigs of data each month because I got roped into that when I bought the...
That's a lot of data, but you're on the road a lot. That's your internet, right?
I use it for everything.
Yeah.
It's my email, my internet. To be honest, 22 is not quite enough.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
It's a little short. At home, I've got Time Warner cable for TV, internet, and landline, which I don't need the landline anymore. But I'm only, now that I'm back on the road, I'm only going to be home like 1 week out of every 6 to 7 weeks. And it doesn't make sense to hang on to all that stuff, when I'm not there for 6 or 7 weeks.
So you're thinking maybe I could use Verizon as my full-time ISP?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of the TWC at home.
Yeah.
And figure out some way to stream a few shows,
So Verizon, all the carriers are worried that you're going to do this.
And maybe use, the phone for a hotspot. And
right.
To be honest, I'd really like to get rid of Verizon.
Yeah.
The only reason I've hung on to it, they seem to have the best coverage across all 48 states.
Yeah, nobody wants you to do this because it's expensive for them to offer mobile bandwidth. They have to, if you think about it, they have to provide that bandwidth to each and every cell tower as you drive across the country. And and that's a lot of expense for them. So that's why every mobile carrier has some sort of cap or limit on how much you can use. And if you're going to use it as a hotspot, they'll almost always charge you an additional $20 or $30 a month for that. And in now they are becoming aware of the fact that a lot of their customers are hoping to use 3G, 4G, and LTE as their home internet. In many cases, rural areas, that's the best internet you can get. So they are now, Verizon and others, but Verizon for sure, are offering home LTE service. And you get a base unit that'll work as your home internet access point. And instead of connecting it to a modem that connects to the wall, it's connecting to your LTE connection. What I would do is call Verizon, explain now, or whoever you're thinking of moving to. I agree with you. If for a long-haul trucker, probably Verizon's probably the best coverage.
I'd really like to get unlimited data.
I know. Well, there are other things. There's a company called Karma Go, and I've used their device that uses LTE, uses Sprint. Maybe not the best choice for you. I don't know. But you pay as you go on that one. They have an all-you-can-eat plan, which they've recently realized was a bad idea. They actually had to cut back on it because people were using it.
Does Sprint still have unlimited data?
Yeah, but nobody has unlimited data like what you want. Because they're all terrified you're going to use it as their home. So Sprint and T-Mobile say unlimited. But what really happens is after a certain point, they slow you down.
Okay.
Nobody really offers like high-speed, unlimited, all-you-can-eat data because everybody would have it in their house, and it'd be 150 gigabytes a month instead of 22, and they'd go broke.
I'm paying like almost 200 for my GWC and over 200 for my Verizon.
I know. And you're only getting 22 gigabytes. Imagine if you tripled that amount or more.
Yeah.
So you don't want to pay $600 a month for internet access in your house. You know, one thing to do would be get a very cheap, DSL Extreme or some sort of cheap internet in your home. That's just for when you're there. But you could also call these carriers, explain what you want to do, and increasingly, I think they're aware of this and saying, "Oh, yeah, we gotta. There's a business out there for people who want to use 4G or LTE as their home internet." I think there's quite a good business out there. I don't know how well the phone companies have adapted to it. They're not notorious for their nimble-footed marketing and business plans. So I just call them. What you got to figure out is who's going to be the best connectivity first. And if it's Verizon, then you got to go talk to Verizon and say, "Look, how can I use this in my home? I want unlimited, and I want it in my home, and I want it in my truck. What can you do for me? And if you can't help me, I'm going to move." And I bet you they can find something that'll work. You're paying an awful lot, $200 a month. Seems like there'd be a better way to do this. I think they're all kind of struggling with this and trying to figure it out. Because Sprint and T-Mobile are the also-rans, Verizon and AT&T are dominant, they often offer competitive choices. But if they don't give you connectivity everywhere you need to be, what good is that? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello, Dickie.
How are you?
I feel bad that we didn't come by and say hi, but it was so quick.
That's
quick.
Okay.
And
that's okay.
And I know, but man, you got to see Hamilton.
It was great, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So good. I feel
I think it'll happen.
This guy's the new Shakespeare. This guy's amazing.
He's unbelievable.
He's so
well, you
good.
know what? It's so funny because out of the blue, he sent me an email on Monday to say that he only thanked me on Twitter for the stuff I sent him, but he wanted to personally. But it took 3 months, he said. So anyway,
you got an email from Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Yeah. And I said, if you want a tour of Mad, I can do that. And he said, let's do it. He said, I'm going away for a while. I think they're going to open Hamilton in Canada or Boston. Anyway. But we may meet face to face soon.
Well, just so the show begins and they're saying, and then they say, "What's his name?" And then he comes on stage, and Alexander Hamilton, and it was like the Beatles. The screams. I've never been to a show where there was so much electricity before the show began. 10 minutes before the show starts, filled. Not an empty seat. I mean, there is nobody late to this show. Yeah. And people are buzzing. They're so excited to be there.
It's like Tech TV.
Yeah, right.
Leo.
This is definitely the right theme song for our guest today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer and a disco aficionado. The only guy I know who used to have a disco boat.
I still have my Disco Mad sign in the background. Yeah.
I see it. But your boat, it had a lighted floor.
Infinity floor. Dancing waters.
Man, that must have been fun. I wish I had been to a party on your boat.
Yeah,
must have been.
Fog machines, bubble machine.
It was like a houseboat, right? Like a big flat boat.
It was a 50-foot houseboat that we pretty much leveled all the way through. Because I love discos, but I didn't like cigarette smoke.
Oh.
So the only way to have a disco without cigarette
to have your own.
smoking was to build my own.
And then how many nights a week did you have like going there? Was
Not nights a week. We would have parties like every other month, mostly for mad people.
Right. Yeah. Right. What fun is that?
It was great.
What fun is that? So Dick is a Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and he is a legend, of course. But he also is a gadget hound, and we call him our Gizwiz because he brings us gizmos every week. Yeah.
So, a test for you, Leo. You have a connected home.
Yes.
You have a connected car.
Yes.
Connected watch.
Yes.
Connected trash can.
No. What?
See? And you call yourself a...
What could
Leo.
the trash can tell me that I don't already know?
No,
I'm
first of
full.
all,
I'm full.
There are a couple things about it. First of all, there are two models. I don't think you need the Wi-Fi model. What I like about it, it's called Bruno, the world's first smart can. So what's neat about this is you're sweeping, and you sweep the dust up to the garbage can.
Yeah.
Forget reaching for the dustpan.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. Yeah.
Yes. The bottom of the Bruno smart can has an opening.
Yeah.
And when it senses the broom or you standing there, it has both light sensors and motion sensors. A vacuum goes on inside the can.
It sucks the dust into the can.
It sucks the dust into the can, shoots it up the back of the can.
I might have to get this.
And empties it into
the problem
the
is
bag.
it's probably heavy. You can't move Bruno around, right? It's got a
Bruno, I forgot was
it's like a dust pan that won't move.
Well, it's funny. I asked a guy, and I think it was 18 pounds or something.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to leave it where it is.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, and then they add to it, which is, I think, kind of silly, a Wi-Fi enabled Bruno that can say, hey, you're running out of bags, or like you just said, hey, I'm just about full. Come empty me.
Yeah.
That adds $50 to the price. So I don't think you need that. Bruno, the world's first smart can without Wi-Fi is $129.
That's not too horrible.
No, not too horrible.
Yeah.
And then $179 if you want the app. It can tell you when you're running out of bags. But I said to the guy, I assume for the app to work, you need to have Bruno bags, and he said you do.
Well, of course.
So I think
you're not going to get bags from some other person.
No, that's right. And no, I'm sure he'd say, hey, these are the wrong bags.
Igor's bags. I need Bruno's bags. They're not talking to you. It's so funny.
Yeah. But and it's coming out in late summer.
Okay, I'm going to wait. I'll tell you why. I'm going to wait for Bruno 2.0 because that one will be on wheels and roll to you wherever you are.
There you go.
See?
Yeah. Yeah. You see, we make a good team. I bring stuff in, and then you tell me what's definitely wrong with it.
You have to plug it in, right? I mean, it has to be plugged into the wall.
No. You open it up.
It's got a battery.
Pull out a cable, charge it. The guy said it was 2 to 4 hours. It runs for 30 days.
Yeah, but I'm not going to move an 18-pound garbage can to an outlet to charge it and then move it away. It's going to be near an outlet.
You know what? I should have checked. Maybe there was wheels in the back. I bet there is.
I think they need to work just thinking about it a little bit more. But you know what? Good for them. Bruno, the world's first smart can, is at brunosmartcan.com.
Smartcan.com.
And Dick is at gizwiz.biz. That's his website. GIZWIZ.biz for the chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine with the What the Heck Is It contest. He also has all sorts of other information on there. Lots of gadgets, details about Bruno and everybody else.
Yes.
And gizwiz.biz is the place to go. Also, gizwiz.tv for his weekly and wonderful show with OMG Chad, the weekly Gizwiz. Thank you, Dickie. Clever name.
Okay, buddy.
Clever fella. We'll talk to you next week.
I'll be here.
Dave in Torrance. Leo Laporte, the
Yes.
tech guy. Hi, Dave.
Hey, you're the most informative man on the radio.
I try to be. At least if you want to know about technology, I am.
I need more of you.
Okay.
I'm having the most difficult time with my Nexus 6 getting it to charge reliably. If it's under 10% of charge left, I'll plug it in, and it's got the lightning bolt in the battery.
Yeah.
But it still drains all the way to zero before I can plug it in and it starts to charge again.
So you're plugging it in and it's not, but you see the lightning bolt, but it's not going up, it's going down.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe it's an app that I've got. I've got this thing called DU Battery Saver.
Yeah, take that off because that doesn't help. I'll tell you that right now. Battery savers often use more battery than they save. There's no way. Now, did you update that? They've offered. Are you up to Marshmallow on that?
I am on Marshmallow. Yes.
Because Marshmallow really improves battery life. You know what I'm afeared of? That phone is a couple of years old now. It may be the batteries failing on it.
Guess what? I returned it. I just got it a year ago, and a couple of months ago I returned it because the one I had for 10 months wouldn't charge at all.
Oh.
And I've got like cables out the wazoo. It's the micro USB, and I've got various things, including the OEM turbocharger that I love.
Yeah, use their official charger. Here's the other thing that will verify if it's DU battery or something else. Shut the phone down and then try charging it. See how, because you can actually see on the screen it's charging, even when it's turned off. At that point, does it charge normally?
It says it's charging, and if it's under 10%, it'll have that lightning bolt in the battery icon, but it still goes down, and next thing I know, it's shutting off completely. Dead.
So I don't mean turn off the screen. I mean press and hold the on-off switch till actually it says power down, and you say yes. Then try the charging. Have you done that?
Probably.
Try it just to see, because if it still doesn't work, even if the phone is shut off. I don't mean, see, this is confusing on smartphones nowadays. You press that on-off switch, the screen goes dark. That's not shut off. That just means you've turned the screen off. What you want to do is press and hold and power down. If it still doesn't charge, then there's two possibilities: battery or the connector itself. There's something wrong. I hate to say it. Time for another return. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.